My brother once gave me a diary that allowed him to see every word I wrote. In my previous life, that diary became the record of a love that was never meant to exist, a love twisted by loneliness and misunderstanding. He grew to despise me for it, to leave me behind. And on the day of his wedding, he made me stand on the rooftop of a 28-story building and wish him happiness. When I opened my eyes again, it was another lifetime. The day I received that same diary, I wrote something very different. I can't stand my brother. I wish he would vanish from my world. But later, it was he who knelt before me, pride stripped away. Everyone else's sister loves them, he said bitterly. Why am I the only one who doesn't? Stella, can't you at least pity me a little? The diary felt unbearably heavy in my hands. Leo stood in the kitchen, wearing a blue apron patterned with flowers, his expression calm, almost fragile. What's wrong? Lost your words again? He teased lightly. I shook my head, but my chest tightened. In my previous life, I had never noticed when his warmth began to fade, when his affection turned to distance, when care hardened into resentment. On his wedding day, I stood on that rooftop again. I had been the one ready to fall, but when I slipped, Leo caught me. He was the one who broke when we hit the pavement. Now, 10 years earlier, he was alive again. Breathing. Smiling. Unaware of the storm that had once destroyed us both. Just 2 hours ago, I'd stood before his coffin. The woman who had been his fiancée collapsed the moment she saw me. Her grief twisted into anger. Stella, who else would be so cruel as to destroy her own family like that? She was right in her own way. What kind of sister loses herself in such obsession that she ruins everything around her? That woman had thrown away the diary Leo gave me 10 years ago, the diary that carried every one of my confessions. I love my brother. I want him to stay with me forever. He's all I have left. Those words had destroyed us. From that day on, Leo avoided me, his kindness replaced by silence. Yet when I was ready to disappear, he was the one who ran to save me. I still remember it clearly, his hair plastered to his face with sweat, his voice hoarse as he reached out to me. Stella, he whispered, if there's a next life, please, don't repeat this. Now I understood what he meant. Don't blur the line again. Don't let love become ruin. Seeing him alive once more, real enough to brush away my tears and sigh, crying already, Stella? What cosmic mistake did I make to deserve you? It broke something inside me. I turned away, shut the door, and wrote in the diary. I hate him. I wish he would vanish from my life forever. Every word was a lie. The truth was simpler and more painful. I would rather never see him again than watch him die that way once more. Leo wasn't born into our family. My parents adopted him from an orphanage. He wasn't even the child they had planned to bring home. But when I saw him by the oven, a quiet boy baking cookies with a serious face, I pointed and said, I want that one. Leo froze. He had a limp, spoke little, and kept his hair long enough to hide behind. But something about him drew me in. Even when the orphanage director warned that he was difficult, I clung to him and refused to let go. He's perfect, I insisted. He's beautiful. My parents agreed to bring him home for a trial period, a phrase adults use when they forget that children aren't experiments. But Leo wasn't a trial to me. He was family. Within 3 months, we had changed each other. I became his voice, his translator, his shadow. By the time I turned 12, we finally looked like a real family. But peace never lasts. My father lost his job, my mother fell for a scam, and one night they left the stove on and never woke up again. If Leo hadn't been a light sleeper, I wouldn't be here either. He dragged me out before the house filled with smoke. After the funeral, all we had left was $20. When I cried that I was hungry, he used the last of it to buy a can of peaches. He gave me the biggest slice and smiled. Wait for me, Stella. I'll come back for you. I waited 3 days. The neighbors said he'd abandoned me. But I didn't believe them. When hunger became unbearable, I ate the peaches one by one, like treasure. 3 days later, Leo returned. His hands were blistered, his nails black with coal dust, but in his pocket were 2 train tickets. He carried me on his back all the way to the city. From then on, I became his reason to survive. In that past life, the first line I wrote in the diary was, I want my brother to stay with me forever. He did exactly that. He left a good job, bought an apartment near my university, and built a business just so we could stay close. Every meal was my favorite, every little wish fulfilled. It was as if he could read my thoughts. Once, half joking, I asked, "Leo, do you sneak into my room and read my diary?" He flicked my ear and smiled. "What if I do? Who else would understand you better than your brother?" I laughed, not realizing how fragile that bond really was, how easily love could turn into something possessive, how quickly care could become control. "This time, I'll make things right. This time, I'll protect the brother who once gave everything to protect me." The image that filled my mind was not the hero's. It was my brother's. My longing for him had never been innocent. I wanted his attention, his affection, I wanted his devotion to be mine alone. The diary became a private stage for those desires, a thin veil hiding truths I was too ashamed to say aloud. I remember the night Leo made crispy sweet and sour pork. Naive and burning with need, I scribbled, "I want him to love me." Outside my door, a bowl crashed to the floor. That sound was the beginning of the spiral. He began to withdraw. He began to recoil. For 10 years I had felt it coming, the diary's careless wishes seemed to matter to him. If I wrote something reckless, he would be distant the next day, no explanations, no excuses. I never imagined his reaction could be so absolute. Once, at dinner, my friend Ruby, the roommate Leo had suggested, asked gently, "Stella, did you quarrel with your brother?" I told her Leo had taken a red-eye to City A. He said he'd be busy with work and wouldn't come back often. He had fought tooth and nail to give me this life, this apartment, this small safety, and then he moved away as if distance were the only way to protect us both. Sometimes I wondered, he would give up anything for me, why couldn't he give me love? The worst memory from my previous life is sharp and shameful. Emboldened by alcohol, I had tried to cling to him, climbed into his lap and whispered, "Please, help me. I'll do anything." He did not lash out. He did not humiliate me. He simply pulled away, took my wrist and led me to the bathroom, turned on the cold water and sat with me until my shaking calmed. He wasn't cruel, he was setting a boundary. He told me, quietly, "Stella, look at me. See who I am." I laughed through my desperation, because I could not face the truth. He was asking me to stop crossing a line I had no right to approach. After that night he moved out. He refused to be alone with me, not even for holidays. My reckless longing had driven him away faster than anything else I had done. Hating him felt safer than loving him. It lasted. He let me live independently, thinking I could weather what he thought I could, but he overestimated what a body and a heart could bear. When a fever pushed my temperature to 102 and the world blurred, I was alone. Ruby was out on a date. The glass on my nightstand toppled. On impulse, I dialed his number. It rang twice before he answered. "Stella?" he said, voice soft, laced with worry. I wheezed. After he left, his calls had become scarce, clipped, distant. "I'll call you back," had been his usual reply. I had no right to resent him, but my guilt never stopped the ache. Once, during a storm, I ran to his office with a can of peaches pressed to my chest. He always worked late, driven and exacting. When he finally stepped outside, I stood there soaked through. He didn't bother with an umbrella, his gaze was unreadable. I fumbled with the can, syrup spilling into the rain, and offered it to him like an offering. He didn't take it. Instead, with a gentle shove meant to restore order rather than to harm, he sent me stumbling into the mud. I lifted my arms to him. "Brother, look at me," I pleaded. "You used to love me best." He did not turn. A sleek black car swept up, tires hissing through puddles. By the time the sound faded, my peaches were scattered across the wet pavement, ruined, and so was I. Now, as rain taps my window, I can't tell whether it's the sound from that night or just the echo of this one, the instant before I lose him yet again. My voice is slow as I whisper into the phone. "Leo. You actually picked up. You used to bring me peach nectar when I was sick." My strength leaks away. The phone slips from my fingers. In a haze I think I hear the front door. For a breath I imagine him back. When I wake, the room is quiet. There are 2 cans of peach nectar on my nightstand. Ruby hovers, worry carved into her features. "Why didn't you tell me you had a fever?" She asks. Was my brother here? I croak. She shakes her head, brows knitting. Are you delirious? He's in City A. It takes 4 hours by train. Even if you left the second you called, he couldn't be here yet. She is right. I called at 3, it's 7 now. Impossible. But even the smallest chance is a knife to me. I fling the cans into the trash and scrub my hands until they sting. Good, I tell her, forcing my voice flat. I don't even like canned peaches anymore. They're sickly sweet. Pathetic. Ruby stares, silent. Autumn at City B drags itself along. To wean myself from dependence, to drown out the craving to hear his voice, I change everything. Layers of clothes against the cold, strict sleep schedules, meals on time. No fevers, no weakness, no excuses to reach for him. I will not call him again. Fate, however, has a cruel sense of humor. That semester the university invited Leo back as a distinguished alumnus. Attendance was mandatory. He sat on the stage with perfect posture, his limp hidden beneath the tablecloth, and spoke with a calm, practiced authority. He moved through the room in that way he always did, confident, composed, and when his dark eyes swept the crowd, they paused, just long enough for my breath to catch. I told myself I was imagining it. He couldn't possibly be looking for me in a sea of faces. Then a girl in the audience was chosen to ask a question. Leo, are you single? She blurted. Laughter rippled through the hall. For a second he froze, his gaze swept the crowd and, for an instant, flickered toward me. Years ago, when I was 18, I'd promised him, half joking, half serious, that if I ever wanted to date someone he had to approve first. He had smiled and teased, then I guess I'll stay single forever. Now, on stage, he rose and walked forward, limp visible, unashamed. It was his graceful refusal, imperfect, honest, and polite. The girl beside me leaned over, whispering, thrilled, isn't that kind of beautiful? Broken aura. Irresistible. I'm getting his number. A note slides into my hand, come on, you won't stop me, right? Her chin is lifted like a dare. There aren't many girls like her. If your brother dates me, she seems to say, I'll take good care of him. It takes everything in me not to tear the note to pieces. In my last life no one would have dared speak of Leo like that to his face. He deserves someone decent, someone who will respect him. Not her. Not anyone cheap or thoughtless. But I force a small, brittle smile and tell myself I will be better for his sake, if not my own. He doesn't usually add people he doesn't know, I say evenly. But fine, I'll take you to him after the event. Her eyes light up. Really? Great. Yes. Anyone can stand beside him. Anyone except me. It's been nearly 3 months since I last saw him. As the crowd thins, Leo remains on stage, tall, composed, though I can tell his leg must be throbbing. I rummage through my bag, pull out a pain relief patch, and time my approach. The girl follows, giddy with expectation. She has something to say to you, I tell him quietly. Leo glances down, fatigue darkening the shadows beneath his lashes. When he notices the patch in my hand, the corner of his mouth lifts into a faint, weary smile. Go ahead, he murmurs. Leo, the girl begins boldly. You're single. I'm single. Want to exchange contacts? She holds out her phone, the bright QR code glowing beneath the lights. Leo doesn't even glance at her. His eyes find mine instead, sharp, questioning, almost hurt. It's the same look he wore the night I once provoked him by accepting another man's gift. His voice drops low, steady. Is this what you want? I dig my nails into my palm, keep my tone cool. Sure. Why not? You're alone anyway. Maybe it's time you had some company. Without another word, he takes out his phone, scans the girl's code and turns away. The corridor lights cast his retreating figure in pale gold. Step by step, he disappears into the distance. One by one, the auditorium lights fade. The girl beside me squeals in delight. Thank you. When I become your sister-in-law, dinner's on me. I stay silent, my hands curling into fists. Sister-in-law. And beneath the noise, I can feel it, the cold, sharp edge of his anger. But why? He's supposed to move on someday, isn't he? He can't stay my brother forever. So why is he so angry? He stops visiting me altogether. Even on the anniversaries of our parents' deaths, I never see him, only the fresh flowers he leaves at their grave. No matter how early I arrive, hoping for even a glimpse, he's already gone. Still, gifts keep appearing at my door, small, thoughtful things for every holiday. Ruby begins staying over more often, a stand-in for his presence, a distraction from his absence. But late at night, I still dream of him, those haunted eyes, the moments of tension, the echo of breaking glass, his voice, "Stella, look at me. See who I am." In those dreams I never speak. Because I know that if I do, he'll walk away again. Years pass before I see him next. I doubt he would have come to that party if he'd known I'd be there. He's changed. His limp is barely noticeable now. Broad shoulders, tailored suit, his hair slightly longer, curling at the ends. His face, colder, more magnetic than ever. And his reputation in City A has grown powerful enough to draw whispers wherever he goes. During my internship, my supervisor leans close and whispers, "Go on. Offer him a toast. That's Mr. Leo Lin, you might never get another chance." She's right. Opportunities to see him are rare now. My hand trembles slightly as our glasses touch. "Don't force her," he murmurs. His voice is deep, commanding, nothing like the brother I once knew. When my supervisor asks, surprised, "You know him?" I answer quickly, "No." The room falls silent. Leo raises an eyebrow, then sets his glass down. The air turns glacial. Someone nearby asks casually, "Mr. Lin, I heard your sister studies in City B. Why didn't you bring her along?" His gaze sweeps over me, dark and cutting. Then, quietly, almost too low for anyone else to hear, he replies, "She hates me. She hates me very, very much." Sometimes a single phrase can fracture you. I feel it happen. If I stay here any longer, if I keep meeting that shattered look in his eyes, I might do something foolish, reach for him, confess everything. But the image of his black and white funeral photo stops me cold. I force myself to breathe, to stand. "I need some air," I mumble. Outside, I light a cigarette, a habit I picked up somewhere along the way. Maybe the smoke dulls the ache, lets me drift in a haze where I can almost believe he still cares. A small flame dies between my fingers. When I look up, he's there, standing by the window. 4 years have carved him into something sharper, harder. "This is your idea of fresh air?" His voice is calm, but it cuts like glass. I flinch, my eyes drawn to his curled fingers. "Does it hurt?" he asks, a faint, cold smile on his lips. "Don't we barely know each other?" I whisper. "Why would it matter to you?" He's still angry about what I said inside, I realize, about pretending not to know him. "I don't want to use your name to get ahead," I start, but he interrupts, irritation flickering through his tone. "Got it. You still hate me." I hesitate. "Can I ask why you care?" He studies me, silent, relentless, like a hunter waiting for the smallest movement. He won't let me go without an answer. We stand locked in that unspoken duel for nearly 2 minutes. Then the sound of heels approaches, measured, deliberate. "Leo," a woman's voice cuts through the air, sweet but edged with suspicion. "Are you flirting with some college girl behind my back?" At the sound, Leo lifts his head. He reaches for her, draws her close. "Let me introduce you," he says evenly. "My girlfriend, Penelope." For a moment, everything inside me stills. In my past life, after he learned the truth about how I'd felt, he had cycled through girlfriends, maybe to prove he could move on. I had driven most of them away. All but her. Penelope was the only one who truly frightened me, because she was too much like me. Confident, spoiled, and helplessly in love with him. And that was the cruel truth, wasn't it? You could stomach seeing the one you love with someone unworthy. But watching them genuinely love someone else, that was unbearable. He could leave me, ignore me, even despise me. But as long as he loved no one else, I could still pretend I mattered. Now, with Penelope by his side, he looks at ease, more than he ever did with me. For the first time in years, he no longer demands an explanation. "I have a project in City B," he says coolly. "I'll be around for a while. And Stella, if I catch you smoking again, I'll handle it myself. Don't test me." I nod numbly as the two of them walk away, hand in hand, disappearing down the hallway. In the restroom, I splash cold water on my face until the mirror steadies. When I reach for a paper towel, a handkerchief appears instead. Penelope stands beside me, smiling faintly. It's strange, every time our paths cross, it feels like fate is mocking us. She pokes me lightly in the chest, her tone mocking, eyes sharp. You can hold your tongue, Stella, but can you hold your heart? She knows. She's always known. This time, she says, voice firm, unwavering, I won't let Leo die before his wedding. I hope so too, I whisper. Her smile falters for the briefest second, surprised by my calmness. She turns to leave, but a sudden dizziness grips me. My fingers clutch the sink for balance. The world spins. I glance down at the handkerchief in my hand. You drugged me, I breathe. Her smile doesn't fade. He doesn't usually add people he doesn't know, I say evenly. But fine, after the event, I'll take you to him. Her eyes light up. Really? Great. Yes. Anyone can stand beside him. Anyone except me. It's been nearly 3 months since I last saw him. As the crowd thins, Leo remains on stage, tall, composed. I know his leg must be throbbing. I dig a pain relief patch from my bag and time my approach. The girl follows at my shoulder, thrilled. She has something to say to you, I tell him. Leo looks down, shadows pooled beneath his lashes. When he notices the patch in my hand, something flickers, weariness softened by a private gratitude. Go ahead, he murmurs. Leo, the girl blurts, bold. You're single. I'm single. Want to exchange contacts? She thrusts out her phone, the QR code glares under the lights. He doesn't even glance at her. His eyes find mine, sharp, questioning, hurt. Is this what you want? He asks quietly. I dig my nails into my palm and keep my voice cool. Sure. Why not? You're alone anyway. Maybe it's time you had company. Without a word, he scans the code and turns away. Pale gold corridor lights swallow his retreating figure. One by one, the auditorium lamps dim. Thank you. The girl squeals. When I become your sister-in-law, dinner's on me. My fists curl. Sister-in-law. And beneath the noise, I feel it, the clean, cold ache of his anger. But why? Isn't he supposed to move on someday? He can't remain my brother forever. So why is he so angry? He stops coming altogether. Even on our parents' Memorial Day, I never see him, only the flowers at their grave. No matter how early I arrive, he's already gone. Still, gifts appear at my door for every holiday. Ruby sleeps over more often, standing in for his presence. But at night I still dream of him, those haunted eyes, the sharp command, Stella, look at me. See who I am. In the dream I never answer, because answering ends everything. Years pass before I see him again, at a private corporate dinner. If he'd known I'd be there, I doubt he would have come. He's changed. The limp is barely visible. Broader shoulders, cleaner lines, a colder face. The influence he wields in Cydia draws whispers before the waiter can set down a glass. Go on, my supervisor whispers. Toast him. That's Mr. Leo Lin. You may not meet him again for years. She's right. Opportunities are rare now. My hand trembles as our glasses touch. Don't force her, Leo says, voice quiet but absolute. Do you know him? My supervisor asks, startled. No, I answered too fast. Silence spreads like frost. Leo sets his glass down and the temperature drops with it. Someone tries a different angle. Mr. Lin, isn't your sister in City B? Why not bring her along? His gaze cuts across the room, dark and unblinking. She hates me, he says softly. Very, very much. A single sentence can fracture a person. I feel the crack run through me. If I keep looking at that wrecked quiet in his eyes, I'll confess everything I shouldn't. I need air, I mumble. In the corridor I flick a lighter. The small flame dies. When I look up, he's there by the window, time having carved him sharper. This is your idea of fresh air? His tone is level, blade thin. I flinch. He notices the way my fingers curl around the lighter. Does it hurt? He asks, a humorless line to his mouth. We barely know each other, I whisper. Why would it matter? He's still angry I denied him inside. Got it, he says. You still hate me. I don't want to use your name to get ahead, I start, but he cuts me off with a breath that sounds like breaking glass. Before I can try again, heels click toward us, measured, deliberate. Leo, a woman's voice says, sweet with an edge. Are you flirting with a college girl behind my back? He straightens and draws her close. This is Penelope, he says evenly. My girlfriend. Everything inside me stills. In my previous life, after he learned what I'd written in that cursed diary, he cycled through girlfriends. I pushed most of them away with pettiness and pride, everyone but her. Penelope was the only one who frightened me, because she loved him with the same ferocity I refused to name. I have a project in City B, he adds coolly. I'll be around. And Stella, if I catch you smoking again, I'll deal with it. Don't test me. They leave hand in hand. I wash my face in the restroom until the mirror steadies. When I reach for a paper towel, a handkerchief appears instead. Penelope. A faint smile. Fate's favorite joke. She taps a finger against my sternum. You can hold your tongue, Stella, she says, soft and razor-edged, but can you hold your heart? She turns to go, then dizziness slams into me. The sink tilts. The tiles slide. I stare at the handkerchief. You drugged me, I manage. Her smile doesn't falter. She lifts a hand. Several large men step from the shadowed hall. A palm clamps over my mouth. I'm shoved through a side door into a soundproof private room. The frosted glass shows smears of light, silhouettes bending and passing. I thrash. A metal buckle cracks against my wrist, pain flares white. Through the glass, I hear Leo's voice, Stella, where are you going? I'll take you home. The hand over my mouth tightens. Beyond the glass, Penelope leans into his shoulder, tearful and serene. She's gone, she whispers. I checked everywhere. She must not want to see you. His face hardens. The left leg, always the left, trembles once. A heavy fist slams into my stomach. I fold, breathless, but lift my head anyway, searching for his silhouette through the blur. He lights a cigarette in silence. Smoke curls, a thin, gray river. Let's go, he says at last. If she's unwilling, leave her. He turns the corner and vanishes. The men drop their pretense. Fists. Boots. Pain is a bright blade at first, then it dulls into something distant and slow. My body becomes a map of impact and ringing bone. One image keeps looping, Leo in another life, throwing himself between me and the edge. A rough voice rasps in my ear. Consider this a warning. Stay away from Mr. Lin. Next time won't end so kindly. Blood pools warm and metallic on my tongue. I spit and smile crookedly. Is Penelope that terrified of me? Watch your mouth, the man says, and his boot hammers between my shoulder blades. You're not worthy of her name. Then give her a message, I whisper, voice frayed. Ask if she's scared he might care about me. Or scared she already knows he does. It sounds absurd even to me. If Leo had loved me, he would never have looked at me with such cold disgust in that other life. But Penelope's hatred burns too bright to be simple jealousy. What is she so desperate to keep apart? A hotel staffer finds me during rounds and calls an ambulance. The men have left no faces for cameras, no blow deep enough to end me. The doctor says it's mostly surface trauma, ugly, but survivable. Ruby pays the fees. When she sees my face, her tears spill over. Stella, tell me the truth. Who did this? No one, I say to the wall. I fell. You expect me to believe a fall did this? I say nothing until her questions wither into a sigh. Don't tell my brother, I add. Ruby lowers her gaze. You know he cares about you more than anyone, right? That's why I don't want to see him. 2 weeks later, I'm discharged. Only Ruby has visited. I sign my papers without looking up. Back at my internship, the storm hits before I sit. I vouched for you in front of Mr. Lin, my supervisor snaps. He called to cut ties. Either resign or fix this. Our firm leads in semiconductors. A partnership with Lin Group should have been inevitable. But my brother chose me over business. Relief and guilt knot together until I can't separate them. I close the office door and work. To make up the loss, my supervisor drags me to client dinners like a prop. Weeks blur. His disdain softens into something worse. Tonight is crucial, he says. In the restroom I swallow a sobriety pill. My glass is already full when I return. I drink. Fire scalds down my throat, too hot, too fast. Heat floods my skin, breath turns uneven. The room leans. Be good, my supervisor murmurs, pushing me toward the man at the head of the table. After tonight, you've paid your dues. The promotion's yours. I try to push him away. My strength slides through my fingers. The air is thick and wrong. The door slams back on its hinges. Leo stands in the doorway, face carved from ice. He crosses the room in 3 brutal strides and knocks a chair aside. It's the rooftop all over again, the same panic banked behind a rigid jaw. His hands are cool when he tips my chin. Stella, he says, voice shaking, talk to me. I reach for him on instinct, clinging like a drowning thing to a shore. You came. He flips the table. Glass explodes. Plates shatter. I bury my face against his shoulder and feel his heartbeat trip and thunder. The air around him turns dangerous. He hauls my supervisor up by the collar. This isn't over, he says, voice lethal and low. What you tried to do to my sister, you'll answer for it. I've never seen him like this. Not even the night our parents never woke up. He bundles me into the back seat of his car and slams the door. I shift, knees brushing his leg. You're terrifying, I mumble, dazed. He tugs at his tie, breathing too fast, then gently tips my forehead away. Fool, he snaps, but his hands are careful. You drink anything a stranger hands you? Have I taught you nothing? Once, no one dared shove a glass at me when he was near. Polite to the world, ferociously protective of me, that was Leo. I clutch his sleeve, childish and feverish. You weren't there. He freezes. A storm gathers behind his eyes. And whose fault is that? Silence stretches taut. Even through the fog, I know what he means. The diary? The words I wrote. The damage I did. His fist tightens on the wheel. Do you really hate me that much? He asks hoarsely. Tell me what I did wrong and I'll fix it. Just, tell me. What if I wasn't here tonight? In 2 lives, I've only seen him lose control a handful of times, the night he discovered the diary, the rooftop, and now, because of a wish I never should have written. What did you do wrong? My throat burns. You cherished me, shielded me, gave me everything but the one thing I had no right to demand. That's not your fault. His jaw works, he looks away first. Without another word, he drives straight to the hospital. He refuses the ER's suggestion to keep me overnight, but only after a toxicology screen, and a female nurse confirm I'll be okay. He signs forms with a grip so tight the pen squeaks. When I wake, I'm not in his apartment but in a quiet guest suite at a clinic Lin Group funds. My clothes are folded on a chair, a clean sweater and sweatpants, still with tags, rest on top, along with a note in neat block letters. You were changed by a nurse. Ruby is on her way. Don't be afraid. L. A second note sits beneath it, smaller, the edges pressed flat and precise. We are family. That is a boundary, not a chain. I'll keep you safe. You will keep yourself honest. Anger, relief, shame, everything rises at once. I snatch my clothes, heat prickling behind my eyes, but my hands are steady as I dress. When Ruby rushes in, she takes one look at me and exhales like she's been holding her breath for years. Let's go home, she says. On the way out, I pass the nurse's station. A single can of peach nectar sits on the counter with my name on the label. I don't take it. I'm not that girl anymore. But as the doors slide open to the cold morning air, I look back, just once. Down the far hall, a tall figure stands with his hands in his pockets, head bowed as if in prayer. He doesn't call out. Neither do I. Outside, the wind tastes clean. I breathe it in until my chest stops hurting. Then I walk forward. My fingers tremble as I pull my clothes on. Tears fall before I can stop them. What was I thinking, letting myself be swept back into that same madness? That we could stay suspended in that fragile peace forever? That he'd walk away from Penelope and choose me instead? Absurd. All of it. I know what he thought of me before, how deeply he despised me in that other life. The door slams, but before I can leave, his hand closes around my wrist. Stella, he says softly, breath uneven. What's going through your head right now? I turn, glaring through wet lashes. Shouldn't I be the one asking that? What do you take me for, Leo? A mistake you made because you couldn't think straight? A distraction when your fiancé isn't looking? He doesn't let go. Instead, he pulls me against him. His arms are warm, steady, the same way he used to hold me when I cried as a child. I should push him away. I should. But the moment he holds me, my anger dissolves. When the silence finally breaks, he leads me to the living room, his hand firm around mine. Look around, he says. Do you see anything that belongs to another woman? I glance around. Neat shelves, plain furniture, the faint scent of cedar and coffee. Nothing feminine. Penelope and I have an arrangement, he says at last, his tone tired but honest. People kept trying to pair us off. She wanted out of her family's matchmaking circus, and I needed quiet. Pretending solved both problems. Shame burns through me. He lets me hide my face in my hands, then gently lowers them. You've been blaming yourself for years, he murmurs. You don't need to anymore. My voice shakes. Aren't you disgusted? For everything I wrote in that diary? He smiles faintly. Then I should be disgusted with myself, shouldn't I? I was the one who read it. I was the one who misunderstood. His gaze softens. You were lonely. You needed someone. I turned that love into guilt. He sits beside me. Now tell me something, Stella. Why did you write that diary? To punish me? Or to punish yourself? I stare down at my trembling hands. Because it's my fault you died, Leo. He goes very still. The night you got married, I whisper, I stood on the rooftop. When I jumped, you tried to stop me. You fell instead. You told me not to do it again if we ever got another life. My breath shudders. And I meant it. I just wanted to start over. To love you in a way that didn't destroy everything. He moves closer, the old composure gone. His hand rests gently at the back of my neck. Then start over, he says quietly. Live. Breathe. That's enough for me. I collapse into his arms, sobbing until my throat burns. He holds me until the shaking stops, his touch steady and protective, the same way it used to be before everything broke. When I finally leave his apartment, my phone explodes with notifications. Group chat. Stella, how did you win over Leo Lin? Everyone's talking about last night, how he saved you. That creep got fired? And you're leading the new project. Congrats, boss lady. I stare at the screen, stunned. You did this? I ask when I show him the messages. He only shrugs, casual as ever. People should know who crossed a line. And you deserve better than whispers. Now they'll think I used you, I mutter. He laughs softly. Stella, I don't care what they think. I was planning to make the company part of your future anyway, call it a dowry, or maybe an investment. 3 days later, life falls into a strange rhythm. For a while, it almost feels normal again. Until the receptionist calls. Someone's waiting for you in the conference room, she says, eyes wide with gossip. When I step inside, a woman sits with her back to me. Has anyone told you, she says sweetly, turning, that taking what isn't yours always comes with a price? Penelope. Her eyes burn with cold fury. She tosses an envelope onto the table. Photos scatter, me and Leo together, in his car, at his apartment, our closeness frozen in damning stills. If you don't want the world to misunderstand what kind of relationship you two have, she whispers, you'll know what to do. My knees nearly buckle. Oh, and one more thing, she adds, slipping me a delivery receipt. I sent your little diary to Leo. The one you wrote before everything burned. The world tilts. My blood drains away. That diary, my one confession, my one weakness. If he reads it again, he'll walk away all over again. When she leaves, I'm hollow. I file my resignation, Book a one-way ticket overseas. Tell no one, not even Ruby. At the airport, as the boarding call echoes, my phone buzzes. A photo. Leo in a jewelry store, examining a ring. His face calm, distant. Penelope's next messages follow. The package will reach him soon. Can you imagine his face when he opens it? I loosen my grip on the suitcase handle and tight back. Bring the diary. Meet me. The reflection in the glass shows a stranger, cold, resolute. Penelope knows I'd do anything to protect him. But she's forgotten one thing: Leo isn't just my weakness. He's also the line I won't let anyone cross again. So I return to the rooftop, the 28th floor, where everything once ended. The wind tugs at my coat as I step toward the railing. Half an hour later, Penelope appears, the diary in her hand. You picked quite the dramatic place, she says lightly. But this time your brother won't be around to save you. He shouldn't, I reply quietly. This isn't his burden anymore. A match flares in my hand. The diary catches flame, pages curling, ink turning to smoke. You think this erases anything? She hisses. No, I say. But it frees me. Ashes scatter into the wind, carrying away every word that ever chained me to a past that couldn't be changed. Penelope watches, smug. Feeling poetic now? She mocks. Don't worry, I'll tell him everything. I'll say you ran because you couldn't bear him finding out your little secret. Her laughter scrapes against the wind. I take a slow step toward the railing, but then she falters. Her knees buckle, her body jerks, and she collapses to the ground. What? What did you do to me? Nothing new, I whisper. Just the same trick you used on me once. Terror widens her eyes. You're insane. I grab her wrist and drag her toward the edge. Not insane, I say softly. Just fair. You said everyone pays a price for taking what isn't theirs, didn't you? The wind howls. Let's pay it together. Stop. Please, she cries. I'll leave him alone. I swear. I lean close. Too late. The storm swallows her scream, until another voice cuts through it, raw and desperate. Stella, don't. I close my eyes. A hallucination, I think. It has to be. But the next instant something wrenches me backward. Arms lock around my waist. Do you want me dead that badly? Leo's voice shatters against the storm. It takes barely 4 seconds to fall from the 28th floor, but in that heartbeat between life and death, I see his face, furious, terrified, alive. Below, firefighters swarm the rooftop access. Penelope lies unconscious on the rescue cushion. Her revenge ends the same way it began, collapsing under the weight of its own cruelty. The car. Later, Leo drives in silence. The burnt remains of my diary rest in his lap. Was I really that important to you? He asks quietly. So important you'd rather die than face what's real? Wrapped in his coat, I can only whisper, it wasn't about importance. It was about guilt. I couldn't undo what I did to you in the last life, Leo. He doesn't speak for a long moment. Then, hoarse, when I read the pages, I remembered everything too. Every choice. Every mistake. I stare at him, stunned. You remember? He nods once. And I remember what you wrote at the end. If there's another life, let's stop hurting each other. Tears sting my eyes. Then why chase me again? Because this time, he says, voice shaking, I won't let either of us die for the past. Aftermath. Penelope's fall is ruled self-defense. Her schemes, her falsified documents, her manipulation, all revealed before she ever leaves the hospital. 2 weeks later, on my birthday, Leo arrives with a single-person registry in his hand. I don't want you bound to me anymore, he says, sliding the paper across the table. You deserve to decide who you are, not live in the shadow of what we were. I sign. My name stands alone now. Freedom, painful and beautiful. Ruby squeezes my shoulders. So that's it? You're really letting him go? I smile faintly. He was never mine to keep. But he'll always be my beginning. That night, I open a new notebook, the clean replacement for the one I burned. On the first page, where hatred once festered, I write new words. If loving a monster once made me one too. Then surviving it makes me human. I close the book. The wind outside carries away the last ash of who I used to be.